Hey, good morning. I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you. Pulling this off just kind of at the last minute here. So we'll see how smooth today's broadcast goes. But yeah, I know 2 days in a row. That doesn't happen all the time. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for joining us this morning. Doesn't look as sunny and bright out there as I thought it was going to be. I thought we were in for a stretch of great weather, but let me just check my weather app for you, bring it to you right away. Um, it is going to be cooler today. 60, only 60 today with gusty winds. Oh, and then there's a warm up later on in the week, even into the weekend, 75, 79, 80 next Monday. Wow. Must be some warm air coming up from maybe some of those hurricanes, probably bringing some warm air up. And then, they're moving off east from what I understand, but they'll bring that warm air from the Caribbean up, which is nice. But today and tomorrow kind of fall at high 60 degrees. I did not know that, but there you go. Let me just center this thing up here. As I said, I was just a little bit behind schedule setting up today's show. But I want to start with the poll numbers that were released yesterday from UNH. Now, I want to stipulate that I have not reviewed the methodology for this poll. And full disclosure, you should know that back in the day, and I do mean a long time ago, I used to do a fair amount of survey research, especially I used to write a lot of questions. I'm not an expert on methodology, but it is something that I know enough about to comment about. But I haven't reviewed the methodology on this. So I'm just going to stipulate for now, even though I've seen a couple of concerns, that it's fine, that this is the most perfect poll ever. We'll just stipulate that for now. I'll reserve my opportunity to criticize it later, but given what we have now, let's put it up on the, I think, maybe we can go on the big screen on this so you can see it a little bit better. There we go there. From Chris Van Buskirk and the UNH poll, there's two things that I'm seeing here on the question: does Maura Healey deserve to be reelected? So back in May, 37% of respondents said yes. Now in September, that is up 14%. So, I mean, the conclusion from that is over the last couple months, she has done enough to get to a majority of people that think she should be reelected. She's moved from 37%, which was kind of weak for an incumbent, up to 51%. And of course, the election's another year or away or so. So this would come and go. Now, you might ask yourself, okay, what happened over the last couple of months that would allow Maura Healey to move up her chances of getting reelected? And if you were to ask that question, you're asking the wrong question, because so many times in politics, people ask the question, well, what happened? And really, you need to ask yourself, what didn't happen? And what didn't happen, in the irony of all ironies, is the invasion. The invasion has been subsided, if you haven't noticed. Trump, the election of Trump, is the best thing that ever happened to Maura Healey, because he stopped the invasion. We didn't need amnesty. All we needed was a new president. We got a new president. That shut off the spigot. And of course, the Healey Hotel story is effectively evaporated from the mainstream media. And that is what didn't happen. And therefore, Healey's numbers have moved back up. That is, in my opinion, what's going on here. Her favorability rating is now 46% favorable, 11% neutral, and 39% unfavorable. Yeah. If you're going to win as a Republican, you really have to drive her unfavorables, and they're not strong enough right now for her to be defeated. That's at this moment. I think it's clear if the election was this November, she would win in a landslide. Even if we ran like the the greatest Republican candidate of all time, if we ran Eisenhower, right, she'd still win. If we ran Abe Lincoln, she'd still win. If the election was held this November. In the race for the GOP nomination, and I saw some concerns relative to the numbers here on this, or the methodology, I should say, but short sleeve is at 31%, and Michael Keneally is at 22%, with a whopping 47% undecided. And that kind of jives with my general understanding of how do they say this? Directionally correct. God, I hate that phrase, but I think it is directionally correct. My casual observance, I guess it's more than a casual observance, but my observance over the last, I say, like 6 weeks is that short sleeve has surged a little bit, and he kind of started a little bit later after Keneally. But my perception is, in terms of the number of appearances, in terms of the messaging, he's surged a little bit. And that seems to be reflected in these numbers, if they're directionally correct. It also seems to me that there is a massive amount of people out there that would be interested in a different candidate, right? That'd be interested in the different candidate. And there was this candidate, this guy who I've never heard of, but never spoken to. I don't know him, Mr. Minogue, something like that. And that he was supposed to announce, the rumor had it that he was going to announce after Labor Day. Maybe he'll still announce. I don't know. There was some thought that that maybe the Josh Kraft debacle gave him some pause, like, because Mr. Minogue or Kylie Minogue or whoever it is, apparently has a boatload of money. And maybe he was looking at the Josh Kraft thing and saying Josh, whatever, the crafty, little crafty, and saying, maybe just, because the thing is, if you're a gazillionaire and you have no track record of authenticity, of being like outspoken, like you're just showing up with a lot of money. And the only reason people are liking you is because you have a lot of money. Yeah. And you tend to have candidates that have a lot of money to hire the wrong consultants. So we'll see what happens with that. It's yet to be seen. Let's see here. In a head-to-head, if I have this overall here, possible 2026 Republican gubernatorial nominees, candidates. I don't think I even understand. Oh, this is fave, unfave. I almost think that these numbers are probably incorrect because the sample size is so small. But overall, Mike Keneally, Brian Shortsleeve, their numbers are very similar with the general population, and it should be somewhat sobering in that in Mr. Keneally's case, 68% of them don't have an opinion. In Mr. Shortsleeve's case, 72% of people don't have an opinion. And the likely Republican primary voters, 42% of likely Republican primary voters have no opinion of Mr. Keneally, and 59% of likely Republican primary voters have no opinion of Mr. Shortsleeve. So that's interesting because Mr. Shortsleeve is theoretically winning the poll, but fewer people have an opinion about him. So that seems to me, if in my way of thinking, is that he has reason to grow. He has the opportunity to grow. But there is a whopping 47% of people who are likely Republican voters that have they're not swayed by either candidate. And remember, both candidates are, how shall I say this, kind of like Charlie Baker kind of candidates. So there is not a Trump candidate in this race right now. And you would think that if there was a Trump candidate in the race, then as one Trump candidate splitting the Baker vote, because if Keneally and Shortsleeve split the Baker vote versus one Trump candidate, very likely the Trump candidate would win the primary. And probably before that, probably would get enough votes. If a Trump candidate showed up at the convention and simply got 15% of the delegates, then highly likely they'd get enough delegates to show up on the primary ballot. They probably wouldn't win the convention, but they'd survive the convention to show up on the primary ballot. And there's a good chance if Maura Keneally and Brian Shortsleeve split the Baker vote, that Trump candidate could win the primary. But Jack, we can't run a Trump candidate. Understand that even if we nominated Bernie Sanders as our nominee, Maura Healey is going to call, no matter what nominee we have, Trump, right? She's not running against any of our candidates. She's going to run against Trump. That's how it's going to go down. So why would we be nominating somebody who, in Mr. Keneally's case, didn't even vote for Trump last year? Or why would we be nominating someone like Mr. Shortsleeve who can barely say the words, "I voted for the ticket," right? Why don't we just go own it, right? Isn't that what they say? Own it. And you've heard me say this before, but why don't we nominate somebody with Trump feelings or policies, and find somebody that is, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like Fetterman-ish, right? Like, just own it. The chances are, by the way, that she's going to win. Right. She's going to win. That she's a very strong candidate for re-election. I would put it that way. That's my take right now, regardless of what is happening in Massachusetts. Someone says, let's hope this is a foul ball. It's possible that the poll stinks. That is entirely possible, regardless of the fact. But there are some still things that are on our side, not the least of which, because it's a year out, are your utility bills, right? Which are just horrific. Let's take a listen.
It's going to be a 17% price hike in gas this upcoming November.
In the state of Massachusetts, it's going to be a 17% uptick in price.
In this particular zone, in different zones, is going to be a little bit different.
So specifically the South Coast of Massachusetts?
Specifically South Coast, 17%.
17%. Well, now, on average, how much does that raise the average New Bedford resident's bill?
Around $50 a month. But understand.
So if you live in New Bedford, your gas bill is going up about $50 a month. 17% rate hike on the way for your electric bill. In the meantime, Maura yesterday said that solar energy is under attack, an unprecedented attack from Trump and industry leaders say. You know why? Because their tax credits are going away. Yesterday, we saw, I don't know how many ads, I call them ads, but it was really Fox 25 local news there reporting They must have ran that story about how the vehicle tax credits are going away today. Today's the last day, I think. And it reveals the truth about this whole industry, whether it's the electric vehicles or the solar panels. None of this makes economic sense without the subsidy. None of it makes economic sense without the subsidy. And they're upset that they're losing the subsidy because they cannot compete in the open market. They cannot compete in the open market. This makes no sense without the subsidy. So there's that issue. Then there's this issue, which I think was summed up very nicely by Mike Urban in this post. And of course, I've covered this story 1,000 times. Maura Healey says MassDOT ran transparent process when Apple Green won Travel Plaza contract. Now, as you know, last week I posted in any sane world, what happened with the Apple Green rest stop bidding scandal would prompt a review of all the bids won by Suffolk Construction. In a sane world, there'd be an audit or some type of a fine-tooth comb review of all the bids ongoing and prior in the real world, which obviously Massachusetts is not. And so I think Battenfeld basically wrote an article today in the Herald with the same sentiment. God, I can't even believe, like, almost every one of Battenfeld's articles is like 5 days late and something that you could have learned somewhere else, like on X beforehand. I have no idea why they still hire him as a guy. All the takes are pretty lame and late. Here's Mike Urban. If Haley thinks this is transparent, what the hell is her definition of not transparent? Yes, Michael, you nailed it right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, my take on this was transparent process. Governor Haley says MassDOT conducted a transparent procurement process. And, you know, I just put up this one post. This one text message is from MassDOT employee Scott Bosworth to Suffolk Construction CEO John Fish, who is the co-bidder along with Apple Green. Suffolk Construction and Apple Green were bidding together. Suffolk Construction is basically the local partner to Apple Green. And I think it was transparent. It was transparent self-dealing. So grateful. The text message reads, "Hi, John. Please do share my contact information with your colleagues at redacted." I don't know why this is redacted. I don't understand the public records thinking about why this is redacted, but they redacted it. I recognize blah, 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 probably how important they are. I don't know where to begin. I am so very grateful for your help, friendship, and willingness to support me through this tough period. You are amazing. This is the MassDOT employee who's in charge of the selection process, writing to one of the bidders on April 1st at 10:10 p.m., a state employee texting one of the bidders at 10:10 p.m., and this guy is effectively in charge of the selection process for the bid, which will be awarded in June to Mr. Fish's company. I mean, this smoking gun, right? Conflict of interest. And by the way, if you're not aware, if you run the selection committee, there is this form that you have to fill out that you must disclose any relationship with any of the bidders, and or if any type of relationship blossoms during the bidding process. And Mr. Bosworth, it appears, allegedly, completely and absolutely violated that pledge. And in any real world, he would be under some type of investigation. But of course, Maura Healey, the reason why she's saying it's transparent is because if she calls for an investigation, then it's really an investigation of her own policies and her own administration. And she's probably going to have to fire Monica Tibbetts Nutt. And it's self-embarrassing. So it is one of these like emperor has no clothes situations, even though all of these text messages have been released. And we now know because the losing bidder, Global Partners from Allfam, sued to get all these documents released. And we now know that there was a close personal relationship between Mr. Fish and Mr. Bosworth, and several other communications between Mr. Bosworth and another executive at Suffolk Construction. Then Mr. Basile over at the lobbying company, he was texting Mr. Bosworth. There were a lot of communications back and forth, rigging the process. I mean, it's crystal clear. That's exactly what happened. Literally, immediately after the vote, Mr. Bosworth texts to the Suffolk construction people, got it done. And Mr. Fish, if I'm not recollecting, responds with a heart emoji. This is like, I know this is going to piss off some people. So I'll say it. It's kind of like the Karen Reed of Massachusetts, right, of Insider Baseball. And yesterday, when we saw that the guy that runs the Boston Business Journal did a 5-minute interview with Channel 4 and never mentioned text messages, Scott Bosworth, John Fish, Suffolk Construction, never mentioned any of that. And the reason is because no one wants to piss off John Fish. They're all scared of John Fish. All right. In the meantime, your MCAS results are in the toilet, but your Secretary of Education is chairing a meeting of the SEAL Flag Motto Educational Development Subcommittee. Yesterday, literally while the news is dropping that your MCAS results are not yet even back to pre-pandemic levels, this is how your education secretary spent his afternoon.
Highlight a unifying message. We still haven't come up with one as a commission, but I think that we really need to nail this down. Like this, the SEAL flag, it needs to be unifying.
Needs to be unifying.
We need to come together and feel as though we're being represented, all of us.
Which Steve Teft, by the way, says no flag could possibly represent everybody. Well, Steve, you're really, you're missing the point here, Steve. They're not trying to represent you. Right? You get that? They're not trying to represent you. Steve, yeah, you're not a person. You're not, you get it now?
And that unifying message needs to be what really comes through the most, because the current flag and seal, it doesn't represent everybody. It's a historical image of, and then there's no agency over identity. I mean, yeah. So ultimately, the final bit should be a really high note. We need to have a unifying message, coming together, feeling heard, feeling represented, feeling like we can rally around, common visuals that I don't know that we love about Massachusetts. So,
absolutely, never been said better. I need to take a moment. So, at a different part of the meeting, At a different part of the meeting, one of those participants says the seal is everywhere and the harm happens when you look at your driver's license, because even your driver's license has the seal. The seal is everywhere, and that is where the harm happens. I'm looking at my driver's license, right? I got my wallet right here. I'm looking at my driver's license and I see the seal and I feel harmed right now. I am harmed right now looking at the seal of the Commonwealth. That's harmful to me. Bitcoin real estate guy on the show 2 days in a row nails it. In their minds, they are doing the most important thing in Massachusetts right now. And you know what, Bitcoin real estate guy? You are exactly right. To them, that is the most important thing in the world right now, even to the education secretary, because the last thing that he wants to talk about is the fact that only 13 Massachusetts school districts matched their pre-pandemic MCAS success. Oh, man, no wonder why he's talking about the flag when your pre-pandemic MCAS tests are so bad. Maybe Boston Common Sense asks, the school system should fight to do away with MCAS altogether. You might remember that last fall there was a ballot question to decouple, because it was racist and probably fascist, to connect the MCAS graduation requirement. Remember the MCAS graduation requirement? That went bye-bye. Popular vote last year. Let's not test at all. So nobody knows our once revered Massachusetts public education system also in free fall along with our economy. Yeah, let's not test at all. If we don't test, then how can we know? Right? Perfect. War is peace. Let's remember that. So here is the mainstream media reporting this. Let's see if we bring this up on your screen here. There we go.
Students and families are getting a wake up in the latest round of MCAS results. The scores reveal most school districts still are not back to pre-pandemic levels. Boston 25 News reporter Amel El-Hel is live in Arlington. Amel, high school students are falling even further behind.
That's right, Rachel. These latest MCAS results are painting a troubling picture for students across Massachusetts. They are continuing to perform below pre-pandemic levels. And for high schoolers, the numbers are going in the wrong direction.
But we all know there's still a lot of work to do.
Local and state education leaders gathered at Audison Middle School in Arlington on Monday to share the latest MCAS results. It was the first test in 2 decades that did not fulfill a graduation requirement after Massachusetts voters opted out.
I have the difficult task of sharing our results, which you'll see, has some challenges.
It's a difficult task. So because we've decoupled the MCAS from the graduation requirement, they don't put as much effort into it anymore. And because they don't put as much effort into it anymore, the results suck. By the way, there's your flag guy in the back, the guy that chaired the flag meeting that we just watched. He's in the back here. Here's Pedro Martinez, not the Hall of Fame. No, this is the guy from Chicago, right? The failed guy from Chicago. Here he is.
The results.
According to Commissioner Pedro Martinez, the results show that students in Massachusetts are continuing to lag far behind pre-pandemic levels, showing very little change this year compared to last year, with a notable decline among high schoolers.
We know the challenges are real. The needs of children have never been higher.
Let's look at the numbers. In ELA, 42% of 3rd through 8th graders met or exceeded expectations.
42% of 3rd to 8th graders met or exceeded expectations,
as did 51% of 10th graders.
So, wait a second now. Okay, so can I draw the conclusion?
As did 51%.
Can I draw the conclusion in this case? Let me see if I can do the math. Let me see if I can pass the MCAS. Can I draw the conclusion that 58% of 3rd to 8th graders did not meet grade expectations? And can I draw the conclusion that 49% of 10th graders did not meet expectations? I think I can.
of 10th graders. In science, those numbers are 46% of 5th graders, 37% of 8th graders, and 46% of high schoolers.
The science
and in math, the state is seeing 41% of
The
third.
numbers are awful. Actually, we're going to get into this and it's just I'm data loading on you a little bit there. The numbers are really bad. If you bring up this post from Anthony Amori, once again for the win, you can see this year-over-year change. And this nice chart here compares it to pre-pandemic. So that would be this column here. Change from the 2019 school year, when things were normal, to 2025. We are down 10 points in language arts for 3rd to 8th graders. We are down 10 points from pre-pandemic for language arts, or whatever I call it, English, for 10th graders. Meeting expectations. There's the numbers, 42% and 51%. So can I conclude that 58% of 3 to 8th graders don't meet expectations? And can I conclude that 49% of 10th graders do not meet expectations? We are beyond, we are below the pre-pandemic levels. It's disgusting. Same thing with science and math, also behind, science in the 5th and the 8th grade, and the science and the math, they changed the test so it's not apples to apples, so they didn't give you a data number on that. Math, oh my God, look at these math numbers. They're awful. Compared to pre-pandemic, we are 8 points below pre-pandemic for 3rd to 8th graders and 14 points below for 10th graders. Oh man, look at this math number. It's awful. For 3rd to 8th graders, only 41% are meeting expectations. I'm guessing that means that, let's see if I can do the math. How many people would that be, class? Basically 60%, right? 60% or 59% are not meeting expectations. And the same for 55% for 10th graders. It's really bad. But meanwhile, your Secretary of Education is hosting flag subcommittee meetings because there's no agency for identity, or whatever the hell that was. Like, you listen to these meetings. I had it on the background yesterday. You listen to these meetings and you're like, what type of language? You really have to be indoctrinated. I felt I needed like the Silkwood detox afterward, because you really have to be like totally dipped in the language of politically correct, critical race theory, Marxism, to really understand the nuance of what all those people were saying. Yeah, it was just one coded dog whistle, vile, racist diatribe after another. That meeting yesterday, like it was really awful, and they did think that it was the most important thing in the world. Yesterday, Toby Leary of Cape Gunworks announced that his channel had been banned from YouTube. Unbelievable. I think we're the only news outlet to write anything about it, or at least we were the first one to write something about it. And put up our article here because this is outrageous. You might remember that just last week, YouTube and parent company Google admitted that they banned users for politically motivated speech during the Biden administration. Right? And now here we are, Google, YouTube, at it again. Theoretically, Toby violated his community guidelines in the first 14 seconds of some video from 6 months ago. Right? We reviewed your content and found severe or repeated violations, YouTube wrote to Leary yesterday. And on the free speech platform, this is which we're on now, X here, Well, I guess it was bound to happen. Constantly moving target of community guidelines and going back, looking at every video you've posted over the last 10 years has held our account to being shut down. We were 2 days away from one strike going away because over time they expire, which would have kept our channel alive for whatever current strike happened. So, yeah, you might also remember that not long ago, recently, Leary interviewed the attorney for Kyle Kulata, if I have the name right, who's being held in Massachusetts because he's considered dangerous. Yeah, we'd post that video for you on YouTube, but of course it got deleted from YouTube. But if you want to watch it, you can now watch this interview with the attorney for Kyle Kulata on X, because yesterday Toby posted it to X at 11:41. So you could go over to his Cape Gunworks account, which is still active on X, and watch the interview. I would strongly recommend you do that. Here's the thing. I think if I had to, guess what happened here, I think Toby is probably, and Cape Gunworks is probably the victim of current events, right? So if you haven't noticed, there have been a number of horrific incidences with firearms. And I'm guessing somebody over at YouTube, officially or unofficially, said, you know what? Yeah, let's drop the hammer on these YouTube account. Yeah, that's probably what happened. My reading between the two lines, that current events kind of prompted this. So let's take a listen to exactly what Toby has to say for the first few minutes of his response video, which was posted here on X yesterday, last night.
Hey everyone, Toby here, and I hate to admit it, but they did it. Our YouTube channel has been deleted, and it seems like it's gone for good. I asked them to look at it. They looked at it and said, we're keeping it down. So really upset about it, but what can I do? It's a private company, and they say I violated their policies. They're not good at communicating what exactly those policies are and how I was violating them. They said at the 14-second mark of a video I did 6 months ago. We looked at the video, and I can't tell what the heck I did.
I mean, how what can you say in 14 seconds? I mean, I guess you could say it's, yeah, but really,
in 14-second mark, it doesn't make any sense. And when you click on it, the link that they provide, of course, my channel's been deleted, so I can't even see what they're referring to. But the long and short of it is the Cape Gunworks channel is DOA, and I would ask you all to go and subscribe to the Rapid Fire Talk Radio channel on YouTube. And then we're still alive and well on Rumble, Twitter, Twitch, even Telegram. Maybe we'll start broadcasting there again. You can also follow me on my own personal YouTube channel called Toby's Take. If you type in Toby Leary, and you'll find Toby's Take there. I'll drop these links in the description, but the bottom line is, yes, it is a setback for us after 10 years and 2,600 odd videos and over 26,000 subscribers. We're done. And now we're rebuilding from just a couple hundred. And I've been urging people for years.
Now, Toby, I think the lesson here, it's not your channel, it's their platform.
Years. Follow us at Rapid Fire Talk Radio on YouTube as well. We had 200 subscribers. So people just weren't getting the message or getting the same warm and fuzzy by it. And I get it. We would mostly just do the live stream there, but now we'll start to do most of our content. We have an archive of most of the videos that were deleted by YouTube, thankfully. Not all. There's probably 8 years worth that I don't. It's only recent, probably the last 2 or 3 years that I do have a pretty good archive, but we're talking thousands of videos and hundreds of hours of videos as well, where I did reviews of guns. I did talks about important legislation. We did breakdowns of local laws that passed and how to avoid, getting put in jail. A lot of good content.
Yeah, stuff you might want to know, how to obey the law, right? How dare you, Toby, make videos about how to obey the law? Well, stop that. Stop doing things like that. So anyways, as you saw me, I subscribed to Toby's Take. Literally, you saw me click the button, and you can go over there. He doesn't have a heck of a lot of videos here. This is kind of like his personal page. And then you can also go over to Rapid Fire Radio and follow him there. I didn't have a chance to talk to Toby yesterday. I know him, but we're not super tight friends. He's been on the show, which has been very nice a couple of times. I have not been on his show, but actually I have no expertise in his field, so don't have me on your show. That's just a joke. But he's been on the show a couple of times, and I did text him a little bit yesterday, and I didn't want to call him because I imagine his phone was just like literally probably lit on fire yesterday. So my heart goes out to him, and I hope that you are able to follow him on YouTube, but also on those other things. If you go over to Cape Gunworks page, if you go over to the Cape Gunworks page, here you go here, and you click the link that's on the Twitter page or X page, and you click the link, it'll bring you to his link tree, and you get all the links right there. All the links right there. If you want to go over to, again, I'll tell you again, if you want to go over to the Cape Gunworks X page and then click the link tree, you'll get all the links to all his socials. So strongly recommend that you do that. We've been nice to the Herald time after time, but I got to take exception with this. ICE protester dunks car in pond. I was critical of Mr. Battenfeld earlier in the show. And for those of us on X, we all know that this story is several days old, if not like a week old or more. Right? It's still funny. And John, I got to just say, he said it's a Tuesday feel-good story. Yeah, like last Tuesday. So you got to kind of pick up the pace, Harold. I know that Bill Malusian tweeted it, and it went semi-viral on the national accounts. And what most certainly happens here is, except for Libs of TikTok will find local stories that no one's covered, and Chaya will make it go like national. Because she probably has people, especially in the schools, that feed her information directly because she's been at this a long time. Otherwise, what typically happens is somebody like me or John Featherston or Jessica Machado or somebody notices something locally, and it bubbles up locally for 3 or 4 days, and then it's been really interesting. Then somebody nationally will say, "Oh, that's a interesting thing," and then it will go super viral. Like, so we have like a Massachusetts virality. That thing, the thing. We'll have something that goes Massachusetts viral, and then it almost subsides, and then the national accounts notice it 3 or 4 or 5 days later, and then it will go. This happened with the water tower thing. Remember the water tower thing from last year? Mr. X, right? My friend Mr. X. Hope that you're doing well out there. Your identity is secret with me. But that's happened with the water tower. The water tower videos went really popular in Massachusetts, and then the national people. So it was weird. I was watching the chart, and it went viral. It died down. And then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and it's just like gone berserk because the national people find it. They're behind the curve. And that's kind of what happened with the Herald in this story and Bill Malugin, who, as you know, I'm a big Bill Malugin fan. But that's what happened in that particular story. Let's see if we have any comments this morning. Let's see here. Fritz says, let's name the towns. I bet a lot begin with W. Are you saying where the MCAS scores? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Fritzy. The needs of children have never been higher. Is that code for we need more money? Yes, that is always the message. Keep the gravy train going. Not only do we need more money, we need less accountability. Understand what the message is. You have hit the nail on the head. More money, less accountability. That is exactly what they're saying. Excellent analysis. Tell Toby to go to Rumble. I think he's already on Rumble, if I'm not mistaken. If we bring up his page right here, again, you can go to the capegunworks.com/linktree, and he's already on Rumble. There he is right there. He's on Rumble. So you can find him on Rumble right there. You can find him on Rumble. He's already there. Thank you, Rose. And big smile back to you, Rose, too. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Glad to have everyone here. Oh, Cape Gunworks chimes in. Oh, good morning, Cape Gunworks. We were just talking about you. Cape Gunworks says we've been there for years, and he types in the URL. Okay, we'll leave that on the screen, and we'll also remind you that you can get over to Cape Gunworks /Linktree and get all of Toby's links for yourself and follow him. In the meantime, I want you to go ahead and pick up your driver's license out of your wallet and go get harmed by looking at the Massachusetts seal, because it's very harmful. And have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.